Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmar Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmar Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmar Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmar Srila Bhakti Vigyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmar Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Mahabhagavat Śrīla Goraksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupa Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Patadash Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishya Bharata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmar Srila Bhakti Pramoda Purī Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shinitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Dhantavakra pranams Krishna Shil and Rup Manjari Didi. Dhantavakra pranams to both of you. So today we are singing a song to the Vaishnavas that's not in the songbook. You can actually find this song in Jaiva Dharma. It's Apara Karuna Sindhu Vaishnava Thakur. O Vaishnav Thakur, you are a boundless ocean of compassion. Please bestow your profuse mercy on such a sinful creature as am I. O Master, please be merciful and deliver this person maddened intoxication of high birth, education, wealth, and attachments to family and society. Ridding me of my greed for women and wealth and my desire for prestige, please purify me. This is my prayer. O servant of Krishna, being merciful to me, please give me taste for the holy name, compassion for the living beings, and an exaltation in the association of Vaishnavas. The shade of your lotus feet is my only hope, my sole refuge in life and in death. All right. Apara Karuna Sindhu O Vaishnava Thakura Aya Apara Karuna Sindhu Vaishnava Thakur Moheno Pamare Daya Koro Prachura Moheno Pamare Daya Koro Prachura Jati Dveda Dhana jana made mata jane jati vidya dana jana mate mata jane udhara karo he nath kripa vitarane udhara karo he nath kripa vitarane kanaka kamini lobao pratishta vasana kanaka kamini lobao pratishta vasana charaiya shodho more e mora prarthana chariya charaiya shodho more e mora prarthana name ruchi jive daya Vaishnave ulasa name ruchi jive daya Vaishnave ulas daya kore deho more oh he Krishna dasa daya kore deho more oh he Krishna dasa tomara charana chaya ekmatra asha 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 जीवने मरणे मात्र अमर भरोसा जीवने मरणे मात्र अमर भरोसा जय वैष्णव ठाकुर जय वैष्णव Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Let's see if the internet's still working. It is. Okay, great. All right, so let's begin. Heart of Krishna. Heart of Krishna, okay. Oh, and the Rukmini? Maybe let's sing Advaitashtakam, or if not Advaitashtakam, then we can sing Depends how much time we have left. If there's time, then we can sing Advaitashtakam, or if it's late, then we can sing Jaya Jaya Advaita Acharya Doyamai by Lochandas Thakur. I think I remember working on that song Advaitashtakam. Did I send that out on the Gaudiya Kirtan mailing list? I think we translated it. Anyways, I'll have to check. Oops, that's not. We're chapter 8, right? Yes. Advaita Avatar. Sachi Ma and Her Nimai. Mother Sachi is the universal mother, the embodiment of Vishnu Bhakti. Her name is so potent that anyone uttering it will become free from all fears. The holy Ganges and Mother Sachi are non-different. Mother Sachi is equal. She is the equal of Yashoda and Devaki. So this is The Heart of Krishna by Śrīla Bhakti Pramoda Purī Gosvāmī Mahārāja, chapter 8. Mahaprabhu will not tolerate any offense to his devotees, regardless of who the offender is. In fact, he was even once displeased with his own mother, Sachi Devi. He was displeased with his own mother, Sachi Devi, because she offended Advaita Acharya. Mahaprabhu said that until she begged the Acharya's forgiveness, she would never attain Krishna Prem. Mahaprabhu used this incident to illustrate the dangers of committing Vaishnam Aparad, especially Vaishnav Aparad. This is truly an important and unique pastime, for how can the Mother of God be denied Krishna Prem? The special mercy of this pastime is that by hearing it faithfully, one develops the understanding to avoid Vaishnava Aparad. The details of this pastime are recorded in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya as the Mahaprakash Lila, the Great Revelation. When Mahaprabhu started revealing his... One day, Mahaprabhu sat on the deity throne and gathered his expansions and said, "In Kali Yuga, I am Krishna, I am Narayan, and I am Ram. One day I was floating on the milk ocean when Advaita Acharya's thunderous calls awakened me. I then descended at his request to inundate the world in a flood of Krishna Prem." Nityananda, the direct incarnation of Balaram, was in awe of Mahaprabhu's opulence and his magnanimous mood. He ran to his throne and held an umbrella above him. Gadadhar Pandit stood to Mahaprabhu's left and began to prepare a tambur for the Lord. The other devotees surrounded him. Some began to fan him with chamars. Like a desire tree, Mahaprabhu began to give devotion to everyone. They begged the Lord for devotion for themselves, for their mothers, their fathers, some for their gurus, for their disciples, and so on. Always ready to fulfill the wishes of his devotees, the Lord smiled and dispensed boons for attaining pure devotion. Seeing that the Lord was inundating everyone with a flood of Krishna Prem, Srivas Pandit requested that Mahaprabhu shower Prem Bhakti on his mother, Sachi Devi. Mahaprabhu replied, "O Srivas, do not make such a request. I will not offer her the ecstasy of divine love. She has committed Vaishnav Aparad and is being denied entry into the realm of divine love." Srivas Pandit was shocked and said, "Your words are like knives stabbing our hearts and killing us. Mother Sachi is that divine personality who has given birth to you. She is the devotee's sustaining life force, the universal mother. And you refuse to give her prem? If this is one of your jokes, I think it has gone far enough. Now shower Mother Sachi with praying, my lord. How can she possibly be guilty of Vaishnava Aparad? Even if you think that she is guilty, then kindly absolve her from it, and give her your mercy. The Lord replied, I can advise on how to be forgiven of Vaishnava Aparad, but I cannot excuse an Aparad personally. The only way to be absolved of Vaishnava Aparad is to approach the offended Vaishnav and beg forgiveness, as in the case of the powerful sage Durvasa Muni, who committed offenses at the feet of the saintly king Ambarish. He was finally exonerated from his offense only when he approached that Vaishnav whom he had offended. So Sachi Mata has committed an offense at the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya Prabhu, and she has to sprinkle the dust from his feet on her head and beg forgiveness. By his grace, she will then receive my blessings in the form of prema, not otherwise. The point is that even the Supreme Lord himself cannot waive Vaishnava Aparad. The Lord's position is clear. Although I am absolutely independent, I am dependent on my devotees. I am their captive. They are my heart and soul, and I am their heart and soul. I always protect them, and they are willing to die for me. Therefore, how can the Lord forgive an offender of his beloved devotees? The only recourse for the offender is to throw himself at the feet of the Vaishnava who he has offended and beg forgiveness. When the compassionate Vaishnava forgives the offender, then the Lord, who relishes the magnanimity of his devotees, becomes pleased with the offender. And blesses him. As soon as the devotees heard the Lord's instructions, they ran to Advaita Acharya Prabhu and narrated everything to him. Hearing the Lord's instructions, Advaita Acharya was astounded. He said to the devotees, I am ruined. Are you trying to kill me? Don't you realize Mother Sachi's supramundane position? My beloved Lord has appeared from her womb. She is my mother too. I consider it my great fortune to be a humble recipient of her foot dust. She is the universal mother, the embodiment of Vishnu Bhakti. I am surprised that all of you are unaware of her spiritual potency and talk like this. Her name is so potent that anyone uttering it, even if under the illusion that it is a mundane sound, will become free from all fears. The holy Ganges and Mother Sachi are non-different. Mother Sachi is the equal of Yashoda and Devaki. While glorifying the divine attributes of Mother Sachi Devi, Shri Advaita Acharya became ecstatic and fainted. Mother Sachi came out of hiding and quickly smeared Advaita's foot dust on her head. Unable to contain her intense rapture, she lost consciousness and fell to ground. At that moment, Mahaprabhu began to laugh very loudly, extremely satisfied with his mother. He said, Now I will bless you with devotion to Vishnu. All offenses to Advaita Prabhu are absolved. The devotees were completely overwhelmed with ecstasy. In this way, Lord Gaurasundar used his own mother as an example to instruct everyone on the immense gravity and danger of committing Vaishnava Aparad. Vrindavan Das focuses our attention on this crucial point. If someone even as powerful as Lord Shiva offends a Vaishnava, then according to the scriptures, he is destroyed. As for those foolish persons who are ignorant of this fact and commit Vaishnava Aparad, they must suffer untold pains, birth after birth. Even the Supreme Lord Gaurasundar's mother was not spared the reaction of committing Vaishnava Aparad. Srila Saraswati Thakur writes in his purport, If even the Supreme Lord's mother, most blessed among women, had to face the consequences of Vaishnava Aparad, one can only imagine the outcome for an ordinary soul. In analyzing Mother Sachi's alleged offense, her deep sorrow caused by separation from her son must be taken into consideration. Obviously, she did not really commit an offense. Yet, Sri Mahaprabhu condemned her action as offensive and denied her Prem Bhakti. How Mother Sachi offended Sri Advaita Prabhu must certainly be explained. Her eldest son, Vishwarup, became completely attached from material life and accepted sannyasa under the influence of Advaita Acharya. Seeing her younger son Vishvambar also becoming aloof from family affairs, Mother Sachi was worried and began to think that Advaita Acharya was encouraging him to leave home as well. Vishwarup was the elder brother of Mahaprabhu, the expansion of Balaram and Nityananda. He is also Lord Mahasankarshan of Vaikuntha. He was extraordinarily beautiful and effulgent, the embodiment of all scriptural conclusions, and extremely equipoised. Navadvip, the seat of scholarship in India at the time, didn't have a single scholar who could fathom either the depth of Vishwarup's learning nor his use of aphorisms. Yet he played like an ordinary boy with his friends. One day, Vishwarup's father, Sri Jagannath Mishra, took him to an assembly of pundits who were very pleased to see him. His exquisite charm captivated everyone. One pundit asked Vishwarup, "My dear son, what are you studying?" Sri Vishwarup replied, "I have extensive knowledge of many scriptures." Considering him to be a mere boy, the pundit deferred from further questioning, but Jagannath Mishra felt embarrassed. Finishing his work there, he took his son home. On the way, his father boxed his ears and reprimanded him. "Why didn't you name the books that you study? Everyone must have thought that you are stupid. You made a fool out of me." After reaching home, Vishwarup slipped out of the house and returned to the assembly. He addressed the pundits and said, "When I was here earlier, you did not ask me any specific questions about my studies, so I gave you a general answer. But my father chastised me for appearing foolish. So now if anyone has any specific question, please ask." One of the pundits inquired, "Please explain in detail what you learned today." Vishwarup, one second, I have to sneeze. Vishwarup began by presenting a thesis, then strongly refuted it with an antithesis, antithesis, and then established the thesis in favor of the first. The pundits were amazed and praised him profusely. Though the teachers and pundits regularly studied and lectured on the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, their explanations were devoid of bhakti. A general lack of devotion among the residents of Navadvip caused great distress to the young Vishwarup. The sole exception was that there were regular assemblies in Advaita Acharya's house, where all scriptures were discussed in light of Krishna Bhakti. These assemblies gave immense pleasure to Vishwarup, and so he spent long hours listening to the spiritual conclusions discussed there. Often, Mother Sachi would send Vishvambar to call Vishwarup home for prasad. Gradually, Vishwarup lost interest in family affairs and the world. He left home, took sannyas, and became Shripad Shankararanya. Vishwarup's absence was a source of constant pain in Sachi Ma's heart. The pain of separation and the thought that Advaita Acharya was the cause of Vishwarup's leaving home constantly occupied her mind. But fearing Vaishnava Aparad, she kept her feelings inside. She would embrace Vishvambar and bear the pain of separation. Then, her darling Nimai began to also spend long hours at Advaita Acharya's house. He began to neglect his beautiful young wife Lakshmi Priya. Seeing this, Mother Sachi became extremely apprehensive. He was the youngest and only son left, and he had also begun to withdraw from the family. In anguish, Mother Sachi lamented, "Who says he is Advaita? To me, he is Dvaita, a double dealer. He has already driven away my beautiful son with the moon-like face. And now he is not allowing my only son to settle down at home. I feel so alone. No one has any sympathy for me. To the whole world, he may be the famous Advaita, but for me, he is Dvaita, or the creator of separation." This was Mother Sachi's offense, and for this, the Supreme Lord Gaurasundar refused to bless her with Prem Bhakti. The Supreme Lord's own mother merely thought offensive things and never even expressed them, and consequently was denied Bhakti by the Lord. Just imagine what happens to an ordinary person who openly offends the sadhu, guru, or Vaishnav. Simply thinking about it makes one shudder. Therefore, devotees must be extremely cautious. By the Lord's will, this pastime was enacted to emphasize the severity of committing Vaishnava Parad and the urgency of having it absolved. Elsewhere, Vrindavan Das Thakur writes, "Lord Gaurachandra, the soul of the universe, delivered Jagai and Madhai, and the merciful Lord saved everyone except the Vaishnav blasphemers, who were considered the worst. Blasphemy against the Lord's devotees is a horrendous offense. According to scripture, even if the offender is as powerful as Lord Shiva, the consequences are severe." In the Srimad Bhagavatam, King Urhugana says to Jad Bharat, "I have committed a grievous offense by insulting a great devotee like yourself. Because of this, I, who am as powerful as Lord Shiva, shall be vanquished without delay for offending the lotus feet of a Vaishnava." Even if the offender is extremely learned, he will be hurled down to the lowest hell. The Holy Krishna is the most potent of purifying agents, but the Vaishnava offender cannot be acquitted of his offense even by chanting the holy name. Blasphemy or criticism of saintly persons is the most damaging offense a person can commit against the holy name. The holy name of God is God, and Nam Prabhu. The Padma Puran states that to exonerate one's sins, the purifying power of the holy name is far more potent than all the methods of penances recommended in the scriptures. However, if one who chants the holy name offends or blasphemes a devotee of the Lord, he cannot even be protected by chanting. When Vaishnava Parad is committed, the offender cannot benefit from Namabhas or from Shuddhanam until the Namaparad is absolved. At Yudhisthira Maharaja's Rajasuya Yagya, the royal sacrifice, the question was brought up as to who in the assembly should be the first to receive worship. The youngest of the Pandavas, Sahadev, immediately pointed to Krishna, the Supreme Lord of Lords. Krishna's avowed enemy, Shishupal, could not bear to have Krishna receive such glorification and began a tirade of abuses against him. The entire assembly was shocked. The Srimad Bhagavatam describes how the members of the assembly covered their ears in disgust and marched angrily out of the hall. If upon hearing the blasphemy, one does not leave immediately, he becomes a party to it, loses all piety, and goes to hell. Shishupal, unfazed by the departure of the followers of Krishna, began insulting them and picked up his sword. Krishna tried to pacify and restrain his followers, but when he saw Shishupal rushing towards him with his sword drawn, he released his Sudarshan disc and cut off his head. Shishupal's supporters ran for their lives. As Shishupal breathed his last, a brilliant ray of light from Shishupal's body merged into Krishna's transcendental body, but not a drop of blood was shed, so the sacrifice continued uncontaminated. Shortly after this incident, another demon named Dhantavakra was slain by Krishna and was liberated. Shishupala and Dhantavakra were actually the third and final incarnations of Jaya and Vijay, the eternal associates of Narayan. With their deaths, they were eligible to return to Vaikuntha. Krishna, the Lord of Yagyas, Yageshwar, stayed and protected the sanctity of the sacrifice until its conclusion. The Chaitanya Bhagavat describes the famous incident of Jagai and Madhai offending Nityananda Prabhu and how they were subsequently saved. Two notorious brothers, Jagai and Madhai, committed every conceivable immoral act, but they had never blasphemed a Vaishnav. Because they were always drunk, they never knew what they were doing, and so somehow they avoided offending devotees. Even the most sacred assembly loses its sanctity with the slightest criticism of pure devotees. In fact, a party of rogues, dacoits, is far better than such an unholy assembly. At least a rogue still has a chance someday to be excused for his sinful behavior. But an offender is bound for hell. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada comments, if we make the mistake of engaging in fault-finding and criticizing others, indulging one's baser instincts, we drag our souls down. Without being free from envy, no one can climb out of this inauspicious abyss. Mahaprabhu liberated drunkards and debauchees, but rejected anyone who offended his devotees. Fault-finding can never enhance one's devotion or spiritual realization. It simply brings severe reactions. This is one of the reasons why great souls avoid criticizing anyone, especially devotees. Do you guys mind if I just find that verse really quick? No, never mind. I'm not going to. I'll look later. An ignorant fool who first worships a Brahman's feet and then kicks him on the head paves his way to hell. Similarly, one who worships the deity of Vishnu but does not revere the presence of Vishnu within every living being also goes to hell. Narad Pancharatra. Setting aside Vaishnava Parad, if anyone harasses even an ordinary living being, he must suffer severe consequences. If a person worships the deity, or is not compassionate to the fallen, what did that say? If a person worships the deity of Vishnu, but torments his creation, he does not benefit from his worship and experiences terrible agony. Such a person is ignorant of the truth that Lord Vishnu resides in all living beings. The horrible results of Vaishnava Parad are 1,000 times worse than offending a non-Vaishnav. A person who worships the deity but does not respect the Lord's devotees, or is not compassionate to the fallen people, or worships one aspect of divinity and not others, making mundane distinctions between Krishna and Ramachandra, or does not revere Balaram or Shiva, is designated in the scriptures as a third-class devotee. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya 5, 140, 149. Srimad Bhagavatam states, one may give up bad association, take initiation, and worship the deity in the temple. But if he does not worship the devotees, he is nothing more than a pseudo-Vaishnav. One who has taken initiation in the Vishnu mantra and is worshipping Vishnu's deity with faith is a Vaishnav. Others are non-Vaishnavs. Hey, that's the verse that Rup Manjari just prepared for our shloka group. I saw it in our shloka memorization. We're going to memorize this verse very soon. What is it? Grihito Vishnu Dikshako Vishnu Puja Paro Nara Vaishnavo Bhito Bigyar Itaro Smar Avaishnava. That's the verse. Okay. A devotee of Vishnu is a Vaishnav, and the Supreme Lord, who is the protector of his devotees, will not tolerate any blasphemy against such devotees. If we want to enter the Lord's heart, the only passage is through the hearts of his devotees. All right, so it is 9:45. Let's see. I'm just seeing if I have the Advaita Ashtakam in my, I'll check the Gaudiya Kirtan Gmail account. For some reason, it automatically unsubscribed me from the Gaudiya Kirtan mailing list, my personal email. So that's why I need to check the, oh, come on. What the heck? Gurudev, what am I looking for? Gaudiya Kirtan. That was a very sobering article, though. My God. Where is it? Let me type in Advaita. Oops. Advaita. Huh. No, I don't see it in my email. Maybe nobody responded to it. That's why it's not coming up. Let's just sing Jai Jai Advaita Acharya Dayamaya, unless you have the words for it Hindi. Seventh edition. Sorry for this delay. Or maybe, no, I'm just going to sing Jai Jai Advaita. Okay. Jaya Jaya Advaita. Yeah, and also now they finished the class in the temple room, so they're going to serve out prasad now, so it's good to end soon. Alright, sorry for this delay, guys. All glories to the greatly merciful Advaita Acharya. It was due to his loud roar that Sri Gaur descended. He is the giver of prem, the Lord of Sita Devi, and an ocean of compassion. Due to his nectarian love, the hero of Braj came again. To whomever he wants to mercifully bestow his grace, that person sings the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu submerged in prem ras. He who takes shelter of his lotus feet attains the supreme wealth of Gaur prem. Lochan Das says, Why have I not worshipped such a treasure house of mercy? Instead, I have struck my own head with a thunderbolt. I'm just looking, sorry, I bet Rupanjari sent. Oops, what am I doing? I'm so spaced out right here. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to sing this song then. Oops, wrong one. Jaya Jaya Advaita Acharya Dayamoy. Jaya Jaya Advaita Acharya Dayamoy. Jar hun kare gora avatara hoy. Jar hun kare gora avatara hoy. Prema data sita nata karuna sagar. Prema data sita nata karuna sagar. Jar prema rase aila vrajera nagar. Jar prema rase aila vrajera nagar. Jahare karuna kori kripa dite chai. Jahare karuna kori kripa dite chai. Prema rase se jana chaitanya guna gai. Prema রাসে সে জানা চৈতন্য গুণ গায় তাহার পদেতে যেবা লইল শরণ তাহার পদেতে যেবা লইল শরণ সে জন পাইল গৌর প্রেম হৃদয় সে জন পাইল গৌর প্রেম মহদান এমন দয়ার নিধি কেনে না ভজিল এমন দয়ার নিধি কেনে না ভজিল লোচন বলে নিজ মাথে বজ্র পদিল লোচন বলে নিজ মাথে বজ্র পদিল জয় জয় অদ্বৈতাচার্য দয়াময় জয় জয় অদ্বৈত আচার্য দয়াময় যার হুঙ্কারে গৌরা অবতার হয় যার হুঙ্কারে গৌরা অবতার হয় হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে হরে জয় সচ্চিদানন্দ গৌর হরে সচ্চিদানন্দ জয় গৌর হরে জয় সচ্চিদানন্দ গৌর হরে সচ্চিদানন্দ জয় গৌর হরে জয় গৌর অদ্বৈত 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 জয় সচি মাতার প্রাণ দান গৌর হরে সচি মাতা প্রাণ ধন গৌর হরে জয় সচি মাতার প্রাণ ধন গৌর হরে সচি মাতার প্রাণ ধন গৌর হরে জয় সপর্শর গৌর হরে সপর্শর জয় গৌর হরে জয় সপর্শর গৌর হরে সপর্শর জয় গৌর হরে জয় গুরুদেবা 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 জয় গুরুদেবা জয় গুরুদেবা 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 জয় গুরুদেবা জয় প্রভুপারা 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 জয় প্রভুপারা জয় প্রভুপারা 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 Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Shnitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Oh, and what is it? Krishna Śrīla Prabhu is asking, who was Advaita Acharya the avatar of? So Advaita Acharya, and if I'm not giving like the best answer here, please just say in the comments. You know, like you can give a better answer. But we sing in a kirtan, Jai Jai Mahavishnu Avatara Shri Advaita Chandra. So yes, Advaita Acharya is Mahavishnu. Also sometimes he's described as Sadashiv, and there's a very detailed explanation about the tattva of Advaita Acharya, how there's the Nimit Karan and the Upadan Karan. And wait, oh God, I have such a bad memory. Nimit is the cause and Upadan is the instrumental cause. So Advaita Acharya is like Mahavishnu has a desire, and Advaita Acharya is the medium through which that desire manifests, this whole creation and everything like that. And same as like Sadashiva is like that also, you know? So, yeah. So that way you can say he's expansion of Mahavishnu, also Sadashiva, same thing. I hope that was a correct answer. But yeah. Alright. Hari Bol. Jai Shishi Guru Gurang Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Vihari Ju Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahārāja Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sorry, I just have to look this up. Nitil Vishnu Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmat Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmat Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Mahabhagavat Srila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shijiv. Oh, Nitil Vishnu Vishnupad Ashtara Shatashmad Srila Bhakti Pramoda Purī Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shijiv Gopal Patadas Raghunath Shar Gosvāmī Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namachay Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandal Gaura Mandal Raja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Bharati Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Ki Jai. Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Sachi Mata Ki Jai. Shri Advaita Acharya Ki Jai. Swaparshad Shri Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Dhantavakra. Vrinda Tulsi Devai Priya Krishvashta Krishna Bhakti Prada Devi Satyavataya Namo Namaha Vansha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I think so far this was the most strong chapter of this whole book. Yeah, when even Sachi Mata was denied praying from Mahaprabhu. And And it said even Lord Shiva is not will be destroyed if he makes offense to the Vaishnavas. And Shiva is the topmost Vaishnav, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. So we can't even imagine how serious Vaishnava aparad is. This is like the most dramatic example possible about the danger of Vaishnava aparad. And also, I just want to be a bit more clear on my answer. So I just looked this up on purebhakti.com. This is my Gurudev speaking a bit about Advaita Tattva. Yeah, because I don't like to give a not very perfect, clear answer. And it's good that I get more clear on this myself. So I'm just going to read these first few paragraphs. So Advaita Acharya Mahavishnu looks towards Upadan Prakriti. This is given by Gurudev on 2001. So Advaita Acharya Mahavishnu looks towards the Upadan Prakriti, the primordial power or ingredient cause of material nature. By his glance, Upadan Prakriti transforms herself into the 24 elements. What are these? The 5 gross elements, 5 sense objects, 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, 5 working senses, mind, intelligence, false ego, and the unmanifested state of the 3 modes of material nature. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita 13.6. By the glance of Advaita Acharya, Mahavishnu, Upadan Prakriti, produces all these elements. Mahavishnu is also known as Karna Dakshay Vishnu. Mahavishnu, also known as Karna Dakshay Vishnu, needs only to wish that Prakriti, the material energy, will create. And by this, she begins to act. Both must be present, Purush and Prakriti, the supreme controller, Mahavishnu, and his material energy. Alone, Prakriti cannot perform any function. It is only the wish of Karna Dakshay Vishnu that Prakriti begins to mix the elements in their appropriate proportions. Then from her unlimited universes manifest. What is Shambhu Tattva? From where does Shambhu, a manifestation of Sadashiv, come? Shambhu manifests from the union of the Supreme Lord with a transforming agent in the form of the darkness aspect, Tamagun, of Maya, the minuteness aspect of Tatashta Shakti, and a slight degree of the mixture of the knowledge aspect, Samvit Gun, and the pleasure aspect, Hladini, of the spiritual energy, Chit Shakti. That's a little bit of a complicated thing, but anyhow, that's who Shambhu is. Not Sadashiv, but Shambhu, who interacts with this material world. The original personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna. From him comes Baladev Prabhu. From Baladev Prabhu comes Mul Sankarshan and Dwarka. From Mul Sankarshan comes Mahasankarshan and Vaikuntha. And Mahasankarshan expands into Karna Dakshay Vishnu. Only for the purpose of the creation of the material world does Karna Dakshay Vishnu manifest. Karna Dakshay Vishnu desires the creation of the material world. Let there be a material world. Maya is his desire potency, Ichcha Shakti, which is not pure because the desire is for material creation. Mul Sankarshan, Mahasankarshan, and all other incarnations have no desire for material creation. Not even by body do they desire Maya. But Karna Dakshay Vishnu desires it, and he therefore looks towards Maya. As Vishnu Tattva, Karna Dakshay Vishnu is pure, but at the same time, he is not pure Tattva, eternal Tattva, because he has some desire to create this world. Only for the creation of the material universes, as manifested from the Viraja river, is he needed, otherwise not. Only for the purpose of creation will that form manifest. So he is not Nitya Tattva and an eternal truth. In the form of Mahasankarshan, Vishnu Tattva is eternal, but in the form of Karna Dakshay Vishnu, he is not. So he desired or glanced over Maya. Desiring means glancing. This desire to serve in the function of creation is the nimitta karan. Okay, so I did get this right, or the instrumental course. Wait a second, no, maybe I didn't get it right. The desire to serve in the eternal function of creation is the nimitta karan, or the instrumental course of this material world. But this desire, or glancing for the purpose of creation, is not completely pure. His desire to serve Krishna is pure, but the desire to create is called an abhas, a semblance of the original desire. This semblance is called Shambhulinga, and the shadow of Mahavishnu's Shakti in Vaikuntha, Ramadevi, is called Prakriti. The shadow of Ramadevi and the shadow of Mahavishnu unite, and in this way the creation takes place. Oh my god, this is a long thing. I'm skipping this part. This sentence doesn't seem essential. Mahavishnu is also of two kinds. This is where I wanted to get to. Sorry, I should just skip to this part. Mahavishnu is also of two kinds. One is Upadan Karan, and the other is Nimitta Karan, the ingredient and instrumental cause. So the Upadan is the ingredient cause, and the Nimitta Karan is the instrumental cause. Nimitta Karan is Karana Daksha Vishnu himself, and the Upadan Karan is Advaita Acharya, who looks towards the Upadan Prakriti, the ingredient energy, unmanifested material nature. In this way, the 24 ingredients of the material world assemble. Karana Daksha Vishnu desires that these elements combine, and therefore they combine and manifest unlimited universes. Anyways, so basically, yeah, Karana Daksha Vishnu desires, and it's, so that's the ingredient, and that desire is carried out through Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya is the instrumental, because he actually makes that desire happen, and that's the function of Shambhu. And so I guess Advaita Acharya is a manifestation of Shambhu. I don't know. I'm not 100% clear on this myself. Anyways, sorry for that whole long thing. I'm still not clear myself. Anyhow, hopefully that's a little bit more thorough of an answer. Alright, Haribol, I'm going to go for Prasad now. Jai Shri Radhe, Haribol.